Hey everybody, Kelley Engineer here, and welcome to Kelley Construction, Part 1 on the Wells Cathedral. I'm recording this episode in Mod 5, version 5.7.0, and this is in between my Mod 5 series, episode 28 and 29. Before I begin, I'm going to make a couple notes. So, what I did for the Filature Levavisor, I am not going to do that format for this particular series. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work on one particular aspect of this cathedral, and that is going to be the episode. So this episode is focused entirely on the towers and the west face of the Wells Cathedral. And yeah, I'm not going to work on anything else other than that in this episode because it's a good way to get myself disorganized, and that's not what I want to do. So the second note is I'm not going to be as chisels and bits heavy as I was in the Filature Levavisor because being anywhere near that right now, and I have some work I need to do on it, but yeah, being anywhere near that right now causes a little bit of lag. So if it is not an archway or the roof of the nave of this cathedral, I am not going to use chisels and bits. Everything is going to be natural Minecraft blocks like it was over here with these stairs. Yeah. So, yeah, that's note 2. The third note is this is not going to be a 1-for-1 scale. This is not going to, this is going to be based off of the Wells Cathedral. It is not going to be a 1-for-1 scale of the Wells Cathedral. That would be madness to complete, especially considering how ornate every aspect of the Wells Cathedral is. But I like the shape of it. That's why I wanted to build it. So, yeah, with that, let's get started. Before I started the episode, what I did is I actually made a shape card with an RF Tools builder, and I moved this tower, this portion of the tower, over to this location. Whenever you're using an RF Tools builder, the chisels and bits will not move with it, and neither will sneaky torches. So I had to move those over manually, but whatever, that's fine. Actually, also, the Master Ritual Stone over here did not transfer either, and that's from Blood Magic. But yeah. I've been working on the framework right now to make sure that I have this right. And once again, this isn't a 1-to-1 scale, but if this was a 1-to-1 scale, I already got my tape measure out and measured. So it is about 147 feet from this point of the tower all the way over, pardon me, to this portion of the tower, if this was actually, in the correct position. So 147 feet in Minecraft distance is about 90 blocks. So, yeah, 90 blocks is definitely not a scale that I can work with, because if I had to split the west front into 3 different parts, 30 blocks each, yeah, 30 blocks each, I would end right about here, and I wouldn't be able to get the detail that I do want. So, yeah, I'm going to deviate from how this thing actually looks in order to get the look that I want. So, yeah, that's why I was building out the framework. This framework right here is just part of a wall that pretty much looks from about here to here on the west front. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just building out the framework, and I'm going to transfer that over later. But now that I have that done, I'm going to start working on the actual entranceway and the 3 massive stained glass windows that go right here, here, and here. So yeah, I'm just going to continue building out the framework, and I'll be back with you once I'm happy with it to go over what we've done. Alright, here we go. As you can see, the tower that was sitting over here is now much further to the left. The reason why I did that is because when I was working on the framework, I noticed that I was 3 blocks off from my measurements. So yeah, from here to here is 8 blocks. I need 11 in order to be symmetrical with this side before it connects to that tower. So what I did is I used an RF Tools builder being powered by these solar cells and lunar cell. And yeah, I used the builder with this shape card, or space chamber card, in order to move the structure over. And I actually tried this one of 2 ways. The first thing I tried doing was I actually just tried moving the tower 3 blocks over to the left, and that ended up corrupting my world. So I had to load it back up and try again. My second attempt, I just moved it all the way over here. The next thing I need to do is I need to move this space chamber, all 8 parts of the space chamber, over so that it is now a part of this structure before I move it back over to the left where it's 3 blocks over. So it's a lot of work just for, it's a lot of rework just for one mistake. But yeah, that's what I'm going to end up doing. The space chamber card that is currently in here is it was saved to the tower that used to be in here, but if you look at it now, there's only 2 items inside that space chamber, and that's this small storage crate and that trash can. So, yeah, I'm going to redo this, and I'll be right back. Actually, before I be right back, these holes that are in the structure that got moved, these are all chiseled blocks and what are those things? Sneaky torches. So yeah, none of those things could actually move over. The same thing with my oh, that is, ooh man. Vector plates didn't transfer over either, apparently, but I don't have those. Shoot. But yeah, the nothing that was chiseled or the sneaky torches moved over, and the same with Master Ritual Stones. And, oh, this chest transferred too, but there's a bug. Yup. Yeah, so if an RF Tools builder moves a chest, it doesn't move the inventory with the chest either. So all of my blood magic stuff that was in there is now lost as well. So be careful with that. That's unfortunate lessons learned. So, yep, I'm going to move the space chamber. There we go. I just got done replacing the chamber card, made the space chamber, and I've set up a preview before I start this thing just to make sure that I have it right. So I did not have it right at first. I actually had to move the builder just to make sure that the dimension got right. But as you can see, I have 1, 2, 3 blocks. So now that I have my 11, I can start this. And like I said, I did have to move the builder. It was originally right here, right where this block is now. So I just had to move it over 1 because it was actually 4 blocks over. So yeah, let's get this thing started. And boom. Now it's starting to move all of the blocks with any luck. Come on. There it goes. All right, all of the blocks are moving over. And you can see that I don't have any red blocks in here anymore because all of my stuff that would have been red when I'm transferring is now over in this chest. And I can put the smart wrench back in there. So yeah, all of these chiseled blocks, I'm just going to manually put them in as soon as it finishes transferring. And I will be back with you once it does that. Alright, so the transfer is done. I haven't added any of the chisel and bit blocks back here yet, but I just wanted to go over one thing. Oh, get out of here. So I just want to go over one thing. I took out my tape measure and I measured right from the center of this column all the way over to the other side. And it happens to be 108 blocks. So whenever I am building things, I always assume that the player character is 2 meters exactly. Yeah, it's 2 meters tall exactly. That isn't necessarily the case. I think like the Wikipedia says the character is 1.8 meters tall. But I always assume that the character is 2 meters. That makes it easier in order to get things to scale because 1 block is 1 meter. Now that isn't necessarily the entire... Yeah, that's not the entire story. There is a Minecraft scale calculator out there, and all you have to do is just type in like Minecraft scale in Google, but it's like inproduction.lancaster.uk or something like that. But it's a very handy tool because all you have to do is just write down the distance that you want to convert and what your actual scale is, and it will convert that into blocks. So whenever I'm doing scale, despite the fact that I assume the player character is 2 meters tall, whenever I'm using that calculator, I always put down the scale as 2.5. And the reason why I do that is because I like things to be a little bit bigger than they actually are whenever you're making a scale. Give yourself more wiggle room for the smaller details. So yeah, looking at documents for the Wells Cathedral, from this tower all the way to this tower, the entire west end is 147 feet. So 147 feet, assuming the scale is 2.5, that is 113 blocks. I've done 108 because any more than that, and it actually looks off. It already looks off as it is. It looks, yeah, it looks way too wide. And that illusion will go away the higher I build up the towers. I still have like 3 areas of towers I need to build before this thing is ready. But yeah, that is 108 blocks because according to the scale calculator, I was given some leeway with 113 blocks. There we go. But yeah, I just wanted to give that little tip in there that I assume the character is 2 meters, and whenever I'm converting scale, I always put the scale as 2.5 blocks per meter. So, yeah. So what I'm doing right now is I am finishing up one of the buttresses on the west front that I just added. And yes, these are buttresses despite the fact that they look like columns. The reason they look like columns is because that's just the design I've gone for. But on the Wells Cathedral, they start out pretty plain, and as you move up and as the arcade starts, they get more ornate, and it's supposed to maintain its rectangular shape and then be niched in where some statues go in. The design I've elected to go for is the spire design. So as you move up, it actually insets itself by one and makes that nice spire effect. And spires are still a part of Gothic architecture, so it does still fit. And the purpose of these buttresses is to actually support the weight of the archway in the nave, which goes from here to its adjacent column, and the aisles, which starts from here to here. And then the buttresses that were constructed for the towers are a little bit different because, yeah, they're not the rectangles like here, like this spire I've made and this spire, but they're actually connected, and it makes a very nice diagonal design. I've tried to replicate the look of it, but it by no means looks like how the Wells Cathedral looks. So, yeah, those are the purposes of the buttresses. The next thing I'm going to get working on is the framework for the west front entranceway. And the west front entranceway is a little bit different because it does have these arches that I've made over here and what I need to replicate over here. But instead they're stained glass windows. So there's a stained glass window that is quite a bit shorter, and then the one in the middle is about as tall as the one that I have constructed here, and then over here another short one. So I need to start putting in the framework for that before I start building it. And as I'm starting to put in the glass and do a little bit of chisels and bits on the stained glass windows and the arches, I'll come back with you. I am very happy with how this has turned out, and yeah, we're just about done with the west face. I just have to build up these two towers right here, and I have to get the entranceways. There are a total of 3 entryways on the west front. You have 2 that are combined right here. It's just 2 high doors that go inside this lancet arch. And then there's one right here that's about, I don't know, I'll probably make it 3 blocks high. And another one right over here on this side. So I need to build those in. And it's kind of, yeah, I guess it is noticeable. But I got the dimensions wrong when I made this lancet arch. So up here is perfectly fine. But when I went for the inside arch, I don't think I calculated right. And up here, it's definitely thicker than it should be. But I am, yeah, I'm not unhappy with how it looks, even though it is most certainly thicker there at the top. So I'm going to keep it the way it is before I start building in these 2 doorways. It goes in a little bit, so this is a full block, and then this is, let's see, I took out, yeah, this is 12 bits in. So, yeah, I do like the look of it. One thing I do not like the look of is if you look over here at the chiseled glass, like right now, the glass looks fine. But if you look at it from an angle, you see that there's this little glitch that's happening in there. And that is because this is chiseled glass, and it doesn't, since it's not a full glass block, it still treats it like it's a little bit hollow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try my best to hide that by building in some framework into these windows. And I'll probably recreate it over here on the sides that I already have finished as well. So yeah. But I'm going to do that, and when I'm ready to start working on the towers, I'll come back to you, and we'll go over what the design of the towers is. So I'm just about done with the framework of the towers, and as you can see, I built up this part right here, but I left this part empty because I'm not sure how I'm exactly going to build this. I don't want to go with that design again, because looking at the Wells Cathedral, the very top of the tower, it looks like it should be a bell tower with the way that they, yeah, has some vents in there. So it looks like it should be a bell tower, but to my knowledge, there are no bells housed in these 2 towers over here on the west front. So I don't know how I want to build it up. And in this episode, I am not going to build all the way around the towers. I am only focusing on the west front. So yeah, I'm taking this time to actually find a good design that I can replicate on all 4 sides. And yeah, I don't know what I want to do with it. So what I've done over here, and this was not, as I started building up, I realized that there was a problem right here. So this area where where the belfry is. So I'm calling it a belfry despite the fact that it's not a bell tower. But yeah, right where the belfry is, it looked wrong because I was going from 12. So stopping right here and building up to 12 where the next notch is, that's, yeah, I realized it didn't work because everything else was 9 and then this one being the only one that was 12. So I put in a little bit of contrast here by making it the stone bricks instead of the steadfast stone. And yeah, I really like the look of it. It really works for it. So yeah, I'm going to try to figure out a design that I want to use over here for the top of the tower, and then we're going to build the top of the tower. Honestly, that's not all that bad looking. And yeah, it definitely keeps with the look of the actual cathedral, so yeah, I'm going to keep it. What I did is I just pretty much replicated this design here, but I only used the small steadfast stone bricks, and slabs don't exist in blood magic. So what I had to do is I just used the regular steadfast stone right here, and yeah, used a chisel design to turn it into a slab. And I'm really liking the look of it. Yeah, so I'm going to replicate it over on this side, and then we're going to get working on the actual roof part of this. You know, the more I look at this, the more I'm really pleased with how it turned out. And now that I've replicated it over here, I actually started working over here on the top portion. So the top portion is proven a little bit difficult. You see that I replicated what was going over here with the belfry, and I brought it along over here, so it's just like too high. And instead of using the red, I used the blue because I felt like I was using too much red over here. And yeah, the red definitely dominates over on the towers and on these walls right here. So I wanted to use something a little bit different. That's why I went with this blue instead. And I'm debating whether or not to use the blue up here as well. I kept this red column, and once I put it in there, I'll see how I like it and change it as necessary. Also, another thing is I have this column over here, and then I moved it in 1. The reason why I did this is because the fact that I build in evens came back to bite me again. So I normally have no problem, as evidenced over here, doing like 3 and then 4, 4, 4, like moving it in 1 or 2, as long as I can get it to fit. But up here, nothing really looked right. You see that I have 2, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2. And that works down here, but with these higher columns, it didn't work. It was definitely taken away from the overall look of it. So what I did is I moved this column in 1, and that way I could just have the columns of 2 all the way across. I'm really liking that. So I'm going to finish this up real quick, and once I finish it up, I'll come back with you, and we're actually ready to close out this episode. Oh yeah, one more thing. So there are these spires right here, and just using the regular steadfast stone bricks, it was boring to look at, so I intersped the small steadfast stone in there, and from a distance, yeah, I'm really liking it. You can tell that there is something different going on with it. Yeah, I'm definitely digging it. So yeah, these 2 spires are complete, and judging from the picture, this area right here should actually be as tall as this area, but that didn't look right. It went too high, you know? So I shortened it down by 2, and yeah, it's just another deviation I did from the actual scale of this building. But looking at it as a whole, pardon me while I back up a little bit. Yeah, looking at it as a whole, it definitely looks good. I'm digging it. That being a little bit shorter definitely helps out the overall facade of it. The amount of time that I have spent on this western face as a whole makes me long for the day that this project gets completed. But I have decided to not use the steadfast stone bricks, and instead of using the steadfast small stone brick walls, because even though there are no varieties of stairs or slabs, there are walls in blood magic. So yeah, I'm using those, and it came out a little more Greek than I had intended, but yeah, I am happy with it. And with that, the west front is completed, with the exception of one last thing, which are these doors. And I'm going to complete this door and that door in between parts, because I do want to get this out. And I think this is how I'm going to do Kelley Construction from now on. I'm only going to focus on one part, and after that one part is complete, gonna call it an episode and get it released. So the next part of this project is going to be actually putting down the entire floor plan. And that is, I'm going to have to make a lot of bricks here. But I'm going to put down the entire floor plan and explain what's going to go in each part of the floor plan. And yeah, that won't take nearly as long as what this part took. But I am Kelley Engineering. I hope that you did enjoy this episode, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.